Hello, it's April 11th, 2013, and I don't have a whole lot to say today. Well, I say that a lot actually, and I go on forever. I did that long one here just a little bit ago. It was almost a half hour on, if you have two cloaks, sell one and buy a sword. I'll try to keep this one short. First thing, of course, this morning when I got up, of all the stuff that's going on in the news about gun control and North Korea. Aspartame. I've known for some time that that aspartame has been added to gum that actually has sugar in it, or candy has sugar in it, or other products. They'll put aspartame in, and now they want to put aspartame in milk with the claim that it'll help the kids to drink it because it'll taste better. I hope everybody is asking a question about why this aspartame is showing up everywhere. It is a poison. It was developed. Actually, we ought to do some research on that, find out where the money is going for this aspartame and who thinks that it's such a good idea, besides just the dairy industry. Who's pushing it onto the dairy industry and why? My guess is, and this is just a guess, but my guess is this is a lot like the fluoride deal. The more aspartame you get, the more problems you're going to have biologically with your body. Can't prove that right now. I've heard about it, and I'm going to look into it. The chances are that's exactly what it is. It's another one of those soft kill deals. Anything unnatural that you put into yourself can't be good. And this is just getting out of hand. The dairy industry wanting to put aspartame in milk, fluoride in water. You got to ask yourself what's going on here. And of course, I think it's a very malevolent thing. That's how I look at it. It's just obvious. It's almost too obvious. Okay. Came out in the Huffington Post yesterday that the Colorado sheriffs, about 22 out of, I guess, about 50 or 60 of them, are filing lawsuits against the state, so they're not going to enforce the state's gun laws. Like I said, this thing is going to divide us. Everything the federal government and the states do now is designed to divide. If they would just abide by the Constitution and do what the Constitution says, which is what? Shall not be infringed. Go after the criminals. I heard a really good argument the other day. They say, well, the reason why there's so many shootings in Chicago is because even though no one can have a gun in Chicago, people bring them from outside the city. Well, guess what? If you use apples and oranges again, what about the cities that do have lots of guns that allow their cities to have, their residents to have guns? The crime rate isn't what it is in Chicago, so their logical argument isn't logical. It's unreasonable, it's illogical, and it's improper. And all it is another attack, of course, on your Bill of Rights, and especially your right to defend yourself. I noticed, we got into a discussion on my UN treaty deal, and I didn't spend a lot of time on that. But one guy wrote in there that I didn't know I was talking about. I don't. He says he has a degree in international relations, and maybe he does. I kind of doubt that it's from a legitimate institution. But even if he does, institutionalized ignorance is pretty common. I'm not saying he's necessarily ignorant, but he's not looking at the entire picture from the point of view that he needs to, and that is that governments try to absorb more power and more power and more power over the individual. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. And the only way to stop that at the end of things is by force of arms if it comes to that. That's what the Second Amendment was about. So at any rate, we won't talk anymore about the UN Arms Trade Treaty. I called it the Small Arms Treaty because that's what most people know it by. Okay, here's something really crazy, all right? You heard a little while ago that the NSA is combing your financial records, okay? And you know that they listen to all of your conversations in real time now with the NSA facility in Bluffdale, Utah. And of course, there are other facilities around the country. I believe there's one in San Antonio, Texas, too. The point is that the government just does illegal things until they get caught, and then wait for a court to make a decision. Instead of abiding by their oath of office and doing things that are lawful, legal, and constitutional, they do unconstitutional, unlawful, illegal things. You know, and the IRS now is doing the same thing. The IRS was caught actually reading your private emails without a warrant. And actually there was a decision made against them in one court of appeals, I forget which one, but they tried to say that it only applies to that area. You see what they do? You know, instead of doing what's right, they just do what's illegal until they get caught. Now, if you do something illegal, and they'll arrest you and they'll put you in jail, but they can do things that are illegal and just get away with it. Governmental immunity? No. There is no governmental immunity when they commit crimes. That's improper. And anybody that tells you that doesn't know what they're talking about. Governmental immunity has nothing to do with committing crimes. And all those people that read your emails without a warrant who are IRS agents deserve to be arrested and imprisoned. So if that happens to you, go after them. File criminal charges on them. Okay, last night, talking about international relations, and I'm going to tell you this again up front, okay? This whole thing with North Korea, we've agitated them, of course, with our military drills. Our military industrial complex wants war everywhere. Okay, they want to enlist your son and your daughter so that they can put them out in battle. Well, you better not let your daughters go. You better die before you let them go, okay? If anybody tries to come and take them, just, I'm telling you, you defend them. You don't let them go. Because I know they're not getting mine. Not getting my sons either, for that matter, but, because this is just wrong, what they're doing around the world. Every war we have is a war of aggression by this illegal government in this country. The Senate voting on gun control. I'll tell you what, there are no legitimate governors in this country any longer. None of them. They're all bought off, with it, like I've said, with the exception of a handful. Anyway. So, we've been doing this thing with Iran and Syria. We've been encircling China. All these things, wars of aggression, posturing for aggression, aggressive talk, trying to get, the government. Look at this, okay? We do these drills in South Korea, with South Korea. What are we doing in South Korea? South Korea can handle this. They're so far ahead of North Korea, we don't need to be there. What, we're the tripwire? Is that what they say? Come on. We don't even need to be in Germany anymore. We shouldn't be anywhere. But beside that, I'm getting sidetracked. The bottom line here is that we get out there and we provoke people into action. They're doing it with the gun owners here, with what they're doing with the laws, with the vets. Right? They're provoking us. They're trying to get us to act against them so that then they have a reason to pounce on us. That's what they do to these countries. That's what they do to, North Korea at this point. Now, apparently the Secretary of Defense Hagel is on out in the open anyway, looking like he's trying to cool the situation down. But, like I said, this North Korea thing can get out of hand real easy, and that's why I tell you to prepare, because it can get bad real fast. Whether or not it should is a whole nother story. The point is it can get bad, and that's why I gave that scenario that I did about what the eventuality of all of this could be, God forbid. Okay, so where am I taking all of this? Where I'm taking it is here. We're provoking almost every country in the world to posture against us so that we have an excuse, provocateuring, to take some action against them. And that not in the name of democracy and freedom and liberty, but in the name of money. The banksters who are behind this are illegal, bankster-driven government. And I'll point it out again, Jesus whipped those bastards. Beat them. The only time that he was ever recorded doing so. Beat them. Okay, and that's what we need to do to him. This is out of hand. Bernanke, that guy's a criminal. Everybody associated with that New York Federal Reserve is a criminal. Anyway, I really got off of that, didn't I? So where did I take this thing with Iran and North Korea? I don't have a whole lot of respect for Wolf Blitzer or any of those guys on mainstream media. But you know what he said last night? He said that North Korea and Iran are working together on arms. Iran is an Islamic regime, okay? You know, working with North Korea, they're allies. North Korea is a nothing, a nothing. To think that Iran and North Korea will be working together is like the Hatfields and McCoys. How stupid can that be? And if anybody's claiming that, and I know they are because they got a provocateur and they fed this stuff to Wolf Blitzer and he ate it up like a dog eating its own vomit. You know, this is absolutely absurd. The provocateuring, this CIA manipulation, that criminal CIA, pulling this stuff up. Look at your television set. Look at your, the shows that are on TV. We talked about them before. The Following. The Founding Fathers. Every show showing, white people being a terrorist, or Christians, or conservatives, constitutionalists. All of this stuff is CIA provocateuring and disinformation and propaganda. No, I don't believe that Iran and North Korea are working together. It doesn't make any sense. North Korea has had nukes and has had nuclear capability, not necessarily in weapons, but in power. And of course you can convert that over. But guess who gave it to them? And I've said this several times before. The United States under Clinton gave North Korea missile technology and the atomic capability, the nuclear capability. So, and now we turn around and, we're all upset, because they've got this. Well, can you see that this is all by design? So those people that object, and rightly so, people have written to me and said, well, it's not fair that you feel this way about North Korea, because of the very situation I'm talking about now, this provocateuring. And I understand that. But that doesn't, in my mind, the fact that North Korea is getting provocateured, just so that you understand, in my mind, I still can't excuse the fact that it's a totalitarian regime, okay? It's wicked to its people. I mean, it's separating kids from their parents at birth. As a matter of fact, marriage there, I don't know what it's like, but apparently they take the kids away from the parents at a young age and raise them separately. I guess they have, in some places they separate the women and the men from camps. And some of this might be propaganda too, but I don't think so because of the way the communists have worked in the past. What I do know is that they are a totalitarian government. And because of their communistic, tyrannical practices, the people have nothing. Now you could say, well, that's because of the sanctions and all that, but they can get what they need from China. So it's really not that. It's really the fact that they just steal everything from their people. The upper crust there does. But anyway, getting back, on this. If I were North Korea or any nation and I saw the United States doing all these wars of aggression around the world, like they are, and then they started doing drills off of my coast, even if they had been doing it for years past, but at this point in time, I'd be a little concerned. So I can kind of understand the bravado that they're showing. And of course, it's also propaganda for the new little snot-nosed dictator, and I understand that too. But we're using this for our military-industrial complex BS. Okay, just to be upfront about it. All right. Well, that's enough for now. I said I was going to make it short. Let's look into this aspartame thing, guys. If there's anybody out there that knows a lot about it, maybe you could write me and let me know. I do know that it's a poison, and in large amounts. People that drink a lot of Diet Coke, things like that, they get sick, and it's usually from the aspartame. So it's a poison, and now they want to put it in our in milk, of course, to poison our children. What we won't do for money.